Long before the world became crowded with noise and metal, there was a kingdom called Ezura, a realm so vast that the sun itself seemed to rest upon its hills. Its earth was red like blood, and its rivers shone like polished bronze. In the mornings, the air carried the smell of roasted yam and wet leaves. At night, the drums of the ancestors beat softly under the moon. Ezura was a land of power and glory, ruled by King Oluma, a warrior whose very name struck fear in his enemies. His palace sat upon the sacred hill of Ijoran, the path of heaven, where men believed the gods descended to speak with chosen kings. Oluma was loved by his people, feared by his enemies, and respected by the priests. But even kings, no matter how great, cannot command destiny. The spirits weave the stories of men before they are born, and no sword can cut through a thread the gods have already tied. Before King Oluma's first son was born, a strange thing happened. The royal priestess, Mama Oji, came to the palace with white chalk upon her face and shells in her hair. Her eyes had rolled backward into her head, and her voice trembled like thunder in the distance. She said, "A son shall be born under the crying moon. His spirit will walk between the world of men and the world of gods. If his heart stays pure, he will bring peace to Ezura. But if he turns away from the river, Ezura will drown in its own shadow." That very night, the moon bled red rain, and the queen, Amina, gave birth to a son. The boy's first cry echoed through the palace like the roar of an ancient drum. They named him Oro, meaning voice of the gods. From childhood, Oro was different. When other children played, he would wander to the riverbank, listening to the water as though it were speaking. When he laughed, the wind stirred as if it were pleased. When he cried, the clouds darkened in sympathy. Some said the spirits loved him. Others whispered that he was cursed. But King Oluma only smiled proudly and said, "He is my blood. And his destiny will make Ezura eternal." The years rolled on, and the boy grew into a young man of grace and strength. His eyes carried both wisdom and sorrow, like one who had seen things beyond the human world. Then came a terrible drought. The sun burned without mercy, the wells dried, and the mighty river Ero, which circled the kingdom like a silver snake, began to shrink. The people cried to the gods for rain, but the sky stayed silent. One night, as Oro slept, a voice called to him, soft, feminine, and ancient. "Child of the river, come." Drawn by a power he could not resist, he rose and followed the sound. Barefoot, he walked through the sleeping city, past the shrines and the silent drums, until he reached the riverbank. The moon hung low, large and red. The water glowed faintly though there was no wind to stir it. Then, from the depths, a figure rose, half woman, half water, her hair flowing like molten silver, her eyes deep as eternity. It was Ero, the spirit of the river herself. "Oro," she said gently, "your father's pride blinds him. Tell him the river must not be dammed. If he defies the current, he defies the gods. Warn him, child of destiny, for the water remembers." Oro knelt before her, trembling. "Mother of the deep, my father seeks only to save his people. The land is dying." Ero's voice softened like ripples over sand. "No man saves his people by enslaving the gods. Tell him, to hold the river captive is to chain his own soul." Then she dissolved back into the water, leaving behind a blue glow that lingered until dawn. When morning came, Oro ran to his father. He fell to his knees before the throne. "Father," he cried, "the spirit of the river came to me. She said the dam must not be built. The gods will not forgive it." King Oluma's face hardened. His golden crown gleamed under the morning light. "Spirits," he scoffed. "I am King Oro. The gods made me ruler of this land. Shall I kneel before a river while my people starve? Father, enough." Oluma's voice cracked through the hall. "I will build the dam. I will command the water itself to serve my people. Let the spirits watch, they will see a mortal greater than any god." The priest fell silent. The builders were summoned. Stones and logs were carried to the river. For months, men labored day and night, building the dam that would trap the river's flow. And when it was done, the people rejoiced. The king's name was sung in the markets. Children danced, and drums echoed across the land. But Oro's heart was heavy. For every cheer he heard, he also heard the low murmur of the river beneath, a sound like a wounded god whispering through the cracks. At first, the dam seemed a miracle. The crops grew green, the wells filled, and Ezura celebrated its deliverance. But then, strange things began to happen. The river turned dark at night. Frogs croaked no more. Fish swam to the surface, their silver bellies shining like coins. The air smelled of iron and rot. Then came the black rain. It fell without thunder, heavy and slow. Every drop burned the skin like ash. The people ran to the shrines. The priests beat their drums and called the spirits, but the only sound that answered was the roar of the river rising higher and higher behind the dam. And then, on the seventh night, the water broke free. It roared through the valley with the fury of 1,000 storms. The dam split open, and from the flood rose figures made of mist and bone, beating ghostly drums. The spirit of the river had come. Oro ran to the palace as the floodwaters rose. "Father," he cried, "the river comes for us." But Oluma was already standing on the balcony, his robe soaked, his eyes wide with disbelief. Below him, Ezura was being devoured, houses swept away, people screaming, temples crumbling. Then, through the storm, Oro saw her again, Ero, the river spirit, rising from the waves. Her voice echoed over the thunder. The king defied the current. The balance must be restored. One must return what was taken. Oro looked at his father, proud, broken, afraid, and knew what had to be done. He stepped forward, his voice steady. "Then take me, mother of the deep. Let my blood calm your rage." Before anyone could stop him, he ran into the flood. The water swallowed him, glowing blue where he vanished. The storm went silent. The river stilled. And when morning came, the land was quiet again. But the palace was gone, the fields destroyed, and the people scattered. Only the hill of Ijoran remained. King Oluma wandered the ruins alone. The weight of pride bent his back. He walked until he reached the hill where his son had vanished. There, at dawn, the river shimmered, and a voice rose from the mist. "Oro," the king whispered. A figure appeared, the boy, shining like morning light, his body made of water and stars. "Father," Oro said softly, "the river is come now. But remember, no throne stands forever unless it kneels before the spirits." The king reached for him, but Oro's form faded into mist. Only a golden crown floated where he had stood. Oluma picked it up and pressed it to his chest. "Forgive me, my son," he whispered. They say that he wept until his heart turned to stone. And to this day, when the rain falls on the hill of Ijoran, tears slide down the statue's face, the last king who defied the river. Centuries passed. The kingdom of Ezura sank into legend. Trees grew where palaces once stood. The river changed its path, curling like a serpent around the ruins. But the elders still tell the tale. They say that on moonlit nights, when the water runs high, you can see a boy's reflection walking on its surface, smiling gently. The fishermen call him Oro, the river prince, guardian of balance and destiny.